Hello, friends. Honestly, I want to start by saying this. My intention here is not to chase views or likes at all. It's just that while I was gathering, researching, and putting together the information for this episode, I stumbled upon something that absolutely shocked me. And you know how it is, right? Just like when you're hanging out with a group of friends. Whenever something is just too unbelievable, the very first thing you want to do is tell each other about it. So, according to a study, and this research was published in a very reputable place, the New York Post, 1 out of 10 people in the UK chose to do this one thing instead of being intimate with their spouse. That's right. Instead of one of the strongest, most natural desires in life, they chose something else. And for me, that's just mind-blowing. I kept asking myself, why would anyone do that? Maybe you're curious too, wondering what exactly I'm talking about. So let me reveal it now. What I'm talking about is this. 1 out of 10 people would rather do this than have sex with their partner. And according to this UK study, that thing is called doomscrolling or doom surfing. Now, the idea is actually pretty easy to understand. Doomscrolling is when people scroll endlessly through news or social media, especially through content that is negative, worrying, depressing, or even infuriating. So basically, doomscrolling means endlessly scrolling through negative, anxiety-inducing, or upsetting information. The reason it's tied to negativity is because of the word doom, which means destruction, downfall, darkness, or even apocalypse. And then you combine that with scrolling, which simply means scrolling on a screen. At first, the word doom scrolling had a really negative meaning, but as time went on, people started using it more broadly. It doesn't just mean scrolling through negative content anymore. Now it can also mean just endlessly scrolling through any kind of content on your phone or computer. But let's go back to what I said earlier. 1 out of 10 people. That's a lot. And this was based on people being asked and answering honestly. Of course, who knows if everyone in the survey was truly honest? If not, the real number might actually be higher. So 1 out of 10 people in the UK would rather sit and scroll endlessly on their phone, doom scrolling, instead of having sex with their partner. Shocking, right? And this isn't even the only shocking statistic. I've got more for you. And don't worry, I'll include the links to these studies right on the screen, below the source, so you can fact-check them easily yourself. Here's another one. In a different study, around 64% of Americans admitted that they doom scroll regularly. Among them, about 70% of Gen Z said they felt stressed and struggled with insomnia after doom scrolling through bad news. So yeah, the number of people mindlessly scrolling, especially through dark, negative, anxiety-filled content, is huge. And it has direct effects. People finish scrolling and feel uncomfortable inside. They feel stressed, sometimes even lose sleep. You've probably noticed this yourself. So many people these days can't sleep. Insomnia is almost like a new normal. Just look around in the morning, maybe at 8 or 9 a.m., at the office, at work, at the factory. Count how many people look energized and how many look exhausted, dragging themselves through the day. A big reason could be that they just didn't sleep enough. And why didn't they sleep enough? One very big reason is lying in bed at night, endlessly scrolling on the phone. Scrolling nonstop. Scrolling mindlessly without even thinking. It's like being hypnotized and just scrolling like a machine. And in that endless scroll, you inevitably land on things that stir up your anger, your judgment, your sadness, your irritation. Basically, doom scrolling drags up all kinds of negative emotions. And even if you do manage to fall asleep, it's still not great. If we strapped a sleep tracker on you, the data might show that your sleep is shallow, fragmented, not deep at all. So in reality, a lot of people out there aren't really getting restorative sleep. And this is dangerous. Sometimes you see people looking totally fine, maybe a little dazed, but then out of nowhere, serious health issues appear. There are many causes, of course, but lifestyle is one of the biggest ones. That's why we really need to be careful with this. I'll talk about solutions in a bit, but right now I just want to keep showing you the research and statistics so you really get the picture. Here's another number. According to a study published in Forbes, Constantly paying attention to shocking and dramatic content can actually reduce our ability to empathize. That means we can become numb. Something happens, and we don't feel moved anymore. We don't feel compassion, we don't feel touched, we just get desensitized. Why? Because we've seen too much of it. Too much shocking, dramatic content. It starts to feel like the new normal. And so maybe a coworker of ours is going through a breakdown, but we might not be able to share their pain. We might not look at them with compassion. Instead, sometimes we become irritable, short-tempered. Our empathy, our ability to connect peacefully with colleagues starts to decline. And not just in a few cases. I've personally spoken with many people who told me straight up that their work life is just filled with dislike, even hatred toward others. And the intensity of that hate, it shocked me too. Of course, I'm not saying everyone is like that, not at all. But the fact that it's so common already says a lot. You know, there are people who genuinely love their workplace. I have friends who often post pictures and write positive things, and their bond with coworkers is really strong. But not everyone is like that. At the same time, there are also people I personally know who've told me that their office life is basically full of hate. Like, the level of dislike among coworkers is extremely high. And of course, I always say there are many reasons behind this. But I can't help wondering, could one of the deeper reasons be that we're scrolling too much, constantly consuming shocking, painful, drama-filled content? And maybe all of that makes us lose our ability to empathize? I think that's an interesting angle to analyze. So, to sum it up, doom scrolling is something we can confidently say is not good. It impacts us a lot. It steals our time. It robs us of sleep. It destroys our emotional balance. And whether you agree with me or not, chances are you're suffering from it too. It's easy to check. Just take 10 minutes to reflect. How was your past week? Did you actually feel happy? Did you wake up tired? Did you feel down or drained? And especially, when you pick up your phone, do you get sucked in, scrolling unconsciously for hours without even noticing? Or think about this. In the morning, after parking your bike or car when you're walking toward your workplace, do you ever look at the trees, the sky, maybe soak in a bit of that early morning sunlight? Or are you glued to your phone the whole walk? Honestly, just this morning, I was walking down a hallway in a building, and right in front of me, there were maybe a dozen people. And what I witnessed was something I could hardly believe. Every single one of them was walking while looking at their phone. Not a single person wasn't. It was around 7-something in the morning, just before the workday started. I was the only person there not walking with my head down, staring at a screen. And let me be clear, I'm not saying this to compare myself with them or to put myself above them. I'm just stating what I saw. It was such a strange scene. Because sure, I've seen people walking and scrolling plenty of times before, even blasting short videos out loud while walking. That's not new. But this was the first time I'd seen everyone around me doing it all at once. And it really struck me. Things have escalated more and more over time. That actually reminds me of a little joke. A couple of weeks ago, I was in a conversation about parenting, and suddenly I came up with this funny scenario in my head. Imagine a mom or dad talking to their kids at the dinner table saying, "Raising you guys was so hard. I remember when you were little, I barely slept. Your mom and I lost so much sleep because you cried all night. For such a long time, we couldn't get proper rest. Raising you was exhausting." And then the kids reply, "Well, guess what? I can't sleep either. I lose sleep every single night." The parent asks, "Why?" And the kid says, "Because my phone won't let me sleep." And honestly, that's the reality. So, after laying out all these situations and problems with doom scrolling, now let's move on to solutions. I'm going to share some scientific approaches, some surface level ones, some deeper, and even some that target the root of the issue. And my hope is that at least one of these solutions gives you something to work with. Because if you're in that situation of, as long as you're scrolling, you're suffering, which by the way is the title of today's episode, then maybe you can adjust in time before it drags you in too deep. because once you're hooked too far, it gets really hard to pull yourself out. I think I told you once before about a time I went to a live music show. It was a concert with a very famous singer, and right in front of me there was a person who just kept scrolling. Scroll, 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 nonstop. The singer was performing beautifully right there on stage, but this person wasn't paying attention at all. They were completely lost in their phone, scrolling like they were being controlled by some outside force. It honestly scared me. That image has stuck in my mind ever since, even though it happened a while ago. So now let's talk solutions. The first solution for dealing with doom scrolling is something called social buffering. That means building a kind of social cushion. Because let's be real, if you try to cut down on phone use and unconscious scrolling all by yourself, it can feel lonely and difficult. And if you try to convince others around you to do the same, that can also feel awkward or unrealistic. But what you can do is make use of your friendships, your social connections. Invite friends to do activities together that naturally reduce your time on social media. Because when you're involved in group activities, it's so much easier to focus on something other than your phone. For example, playing football or tennis. You simply can't hold your phone while doing those. The only time you might use your phone is while waiting your turn. So, no, this won't completely cure the problem. Nothing can really. But it reduces it. 1 hour of playing is 1 hour you're not scrolling. So using social connections, engaging with other people through activities where phones aren't practical. That's the key. It could be walking or even brisk walking or light jogging. Because if you're jogging, it's hard to scroll at the same time. At most, you can just listen to music. If you can find a runner community or even just a walking buddy, that's great. This really helps limit doom scrolling. That's social buffering. Or maybe invite a close friend to go to the gym with you. Working out works too. Pick exercises where you have to use your hands. That way you can't be scrolling. Some gyms don't allow people to spot each other, but you can look for ones where it's okay. Even light exercises, even without weights, as long as you're engaging your hands, that counts. Because then your friend can push you, and you can push them. That kind of mutual encouragement helps reduce phone use. Little by little, step by step, it gets better. Swimming, biking, anything like that. Those are also great activities. Really, any activity works. Even joining something like a flower arranging class or trying out some hobby, it's wonderful. So that's the first solution. I'd say it works more on the surface level, but it's simple, and anyone can do it. So for now, let's just accept it. It's accessible. It's doable. The second one, though, is a little harder, because this one requires effort on your part. It's not as simple as just inviting your friends out to the tennis court like in the first solution. This one goes straight to your mindset. It's called digital CBT. That stands for Digital Cognitive Behavioral Therapy. Basically, it's about restructuring your thoughts in the online environment, in the digital space. And don't worry, it's actually simple at its core. Whenever you notice yourself having a certain thought about being addicted to social media or about doom scrolling, you practice replacing that thought with a healthier one. And you do it every day. Replace, replace, replace. Keep practicing until eventually new patterns of thought form. That's almost guaranteed. It takes some effort, of course, and that's why we call it restructuring. But here's the thing, plenty of people who've never studied psychology, never seen a counselor, still end up restructuring their own thinking in life. For example, someone used to be very negative. Then after a while, maybe they worked at a new company, met someone special, or saw a certain piece of content. Suddenly, they became more positive. They found new hope. You see that a lot, and on the flip side, you also see people who used to be positive, but over time they grew negative. Right? It just comes down to changing the way we think about something. That's the simple version, and if any psychologists are listening right now, please forgive me for oversimplifying. Because sure, I could just drop a Wikipedia link or recommend an Amazon book on CBT and call it a day. But I still want to explain it briefly, at least in plain language, so listeners get a seed of the idea. Something they might remember later. So, digital CBT basically means retraining yourself to think in a healthier way about your phone, about internet use, about all of this. Step 1. Write down your real thoughts about scrolling. Step 2. Replace them with thoughts that are better for you, healthier. From my own experience, I'd say just start with step 1. Write out all your honest thoughts about doom scrolling, especially the ones tied to weakness, to feeling pulled in, to the emotions that come with it. Make a long list. Carry that paper with you when you go for a walk or when you sit in a cafe. Practice swapping each thought for a new one. Then repeat it to yourself again and again. Repeat it like a mantra. If you keep doing that, it'll eventually become your new reflex. Let me give an example. A common thought is, if I don't scroll right now, I'll miss out on something important. That's FOMO, fear of missing out. People think, I'll just scroll for 5 or 10 minutes to see what's new. But somehow, 5 minutes at 10 p.m. becomes scrolling until 3 or 4 in the morning. It's hypnotic. So here's the replacement thought. If the news is truly important, my coworkers will be talking about it tomorrow. I don't need to scroll tonight. That's how you restructure it. At first, it feels awkward because the original thought is so strong and the replacement thought feels forced, artificial, but that's why you need to write it down and keep repeating it over and over, like you're chanting. And I'm serious about this. If you keep at it every single day, eventually it becomes your new mindset. So no, this isn't textbook CBT in its purest form, but it does give you something to believe in, that you really can think differently. You can shift toward more positive, wiser, and more life-giving thoughts. That conscious shift makes a huge difference. If you practice for just 2 or 3 months, which isn't a long time in the span of your life, you'll start to notice real change. You'll build new beliefs, and then, when you look at social media, when you pick up your phone, you'll feel more in control. That's the key word, control. You'll be able to use your phone with stronger control instead of being hypnotized by it. So, that's the second method. Now, there is a third one. But I've made a small change to my plan. I don't want to rush through it in 5 minutes. I want to take my time. I want to talk about it as fully as possible, with every bit of sincerity, gratitude, and love I've put into practicing it myself. So this isn't me teasing a cliffhanger. It's not a content hook. It's just a genuine, spontaneous decision. I'll save that third method for the next episode, because I want to dedicate a full discussion to it. And trust me, it's a very personal method, one that I live by, one that has helped me not just reduce scrolling, but actually quit completely. As many of you know, I barely use social media anymore. I don't even read news on online platforms. There's a reason I made that shift, and next week I'll explain it fully. So, 7 days from now, I'll try my best to record a version of that episode that's as warm and complete as I can make it. Please look forward to it. For now, goodbye. And I'll see you in the next episode.